Yo then guys, and welcome back to another video. Now today we have some interesting news, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not really too sure when this happened, but The Last of Us 2 has been pushed back to May the 29th of a release date. There's been a lot of stuff going on. So I literally just typed in The Last of Us 2. It comes up release date 29th of May 2020. And then the second thing on it is Crunch once again in the spotlight after damning reports on The Last of Us 2 developer Naughty Dog. And then a quote here, "One good friend of mine was hospitalized due to overwork." So it says here, many who have worked at Naughty Dog over the years describe it as a duality, as a place that can be simultaneously the best and the worst workplace in the world. Working at Naughty Dog means designing beloved, critically acclaimed games alongside artists and engineers who are considered some of the greatest in their fields. But for many of those same people, it also means working upwards of 12 hours a day and even weekends when the studio is in crunch mode, sacrificing their health, relationships, and personal lives at the altar of the game. Now, I'm guessing that means that they are working 12-hour days for 7 days a week at times, with like literally no time off. I work 12-hour days and they're difficult. When you do, I do sometimes 3 days in a row on weekends, and it's difficult. It's very difficult. So to do, maybe 5 or 6 in a row. Wow. Yeah, no. So I just want to get this completely right. Jonathan Cooper, author, video game animation. So I guess he's an animator. He put up some tweets 3 days ago now. For the I don't know what this said. This is going to really annoy me now. Okay, so it goes, when I left Naughty Dog last year, they threatened to withhold my final paycheck until I signed additional paperwork stating I wouldn't share the production practices. They finally relented when I assured them that that was most likely illegal. The truth is, I have no awful crunch tale. The story animators, as were known, were averaging 46 hours a week when I left, and I personally never went over 55. The story team is super organized, and we reacted to whatever was thrown at us. That's not to say others weren't suffering. For the demo shown last September, the gameplay animators crunched more than I've ever seen and required weeks of recovery afterwards. Jesus. One good friend of mine was hospitalized at the time due to overwork. He still had over half a year to go. There have been others since. The reason I left is because I only want to work with the best, and that is no longer Naughty Dog. The reputation for crunch within LA is so bad, it was near impossible to hire seasoned contract game animators to close out the project. As such, we loaded up on film animators. While super talented, they lack the technical design know-how to assemble scenes. Similarly, the design team ballooned with juniors to make up for the attrition of key roles. Every aspect of finishing this game took much longer due to the lack of game experience on the team. Don't get me wrong, these kids are mostly awesome and the best were great. It's just when the junior/senior ratio is out of balance, things can really grind and more time is spent training than actually working. LA teams make sure I pick them up when all the contracts end. Contract work is a huge part of the LA ecosystem to ship large games. Unlike game design, there is a thriving animation industry here, and seasoned animators can often choose their projects. Most of the contract story animators quit last year. Fucking hell. Okay. So he goes, those that don't can be at ND for 2 to 3 projects with pauses in between. And while paid overtime, never receive benefits or the security of a full-time gig. This is the way the industry is moving, so workers need more protection rather than the carrot of a full-time job one day. There are ND stories worse than this, but like everything on my Twitter, I'm focusing on animation. For The Last of Us 2 fans, the game should turn out great with industry-leading animation. I would just not recommend anyone work in Naughty Dog until they prioritize talent retention. Ultimately, Naughty Dog's linear games have a formula and they focus test the shit out of them. While talented, their success is due in large part to Sony's deep pockets, funding delays rather than skill alone. A more senior team would have shipped The Last of Us 2 a year ago. Jesus. Okay, so I'm just going to go and give you a definition of what crunching is. I've just got it up here so I can just freely read. What is crunch culture? Crunch culture is a term given to the practice of working long, intensive hours in order to make sure a game is ready by its release. The word crunch is somewhat misleading as it implies a short period of time towards the end of the project where everyone works harder to make the work as good as it possibly can be. But in reality, crunch periods can drag out for months and consist of a pattern of working hours that are not healthy or sustainable. So it says, during crunch periods in the games industry, many individuals work upwards of 40 hours a week. Now, it's not actually that bad. 40 hours a week isn't too bad at all. I work 42 hours a week. But then it goes on to say that it was found that many employees reported working between 50 and 59 hours. That's 37% of people. 29% of people between 60 and 69 hours. And 14% of upwards of 70 hours. Now, can I just put that into context for you? There's 168 hours in a week. So spending half of their week at work. Like, that's nuts. Like, work out how long you're at work for a week. Like, say you do, I don't know, you do a 9-hour shift, yeah, and you do that 5 times a week. So you're only doing 45 hours. So they're at work another 25. They're at work a whole day, like another day. That's crazy. That's absolutely mental. So some of these people are genuinely at work for about 3.5 days out of their week, non-stop, like full, which is mad. So as the guy said, if there was a more senior team, this game would have been released a year ago. It says, Naughty Dog aren't a very good company to work for anymore. So, I mean, overall, there's a problem with the crunching culture in games development. Like, there's a big problem. Like, I think it was Red Dead Redemption 2. There was reports done that Rockstar were making people work long hours. I believe it was Cyberpunk 2077 as well. There was one. There's a few other games as well. So this is a big problem, and I believe it's probably just going to get worse by the looks of it. I mean, I can't wait for The Last of Us 2, but at the same time, that's not okay. Like, one good friend of mine was hospitalized due to overworking. That's not okay. It's like the Telltale Games, not the same issue, but when the company went bust, and people were like thinking of not playing the rest of the game because people weren't given their packages, like for when a company, I can't remember the word now, when a company goes bust, you get money because obviously you have no work, and the employees of that company didn't get anything, and people were there like, I don't know whether I'm going to carry on playing this game. I don't know whether people are going to buy this game. I mean, at the end of the day, as this guy does continue to say, buying the game gives the employees their bonuses and actually pays the staff. So it's not like you're just giving Naughty Dog all the money. You are actually paying the staff for this and giving them bonuses, which is, if you are under a crunch, then the least you can get is a bonus. I can't wait for this game to come out. I'm going to be buying it the day it comes out. It sucks that it's been pushed backwards, but hey, I mean, if it's going to relieve the stress a little bit on the employees, it doesn't sound like it will much, but, put it this way, if it was meant to come out still in a week's time, then it would have been absolutely crazy. So I'm glad that they have pushed it back. As it said, that is due to Sony's big pockets in being able to pay and, being able to push it back. But yeah, I can't wait for the game to come out. It's going to be good. It just sucks that the employees are under such scrutiny, and yeah. It does also say that, the staff are too afraid to not go in because it puts more pressure on the other staff and you feel like you're letting down the rest of your team and you're not pulling your weight. So obviously overtime isn't mandatory, but in cases like this, it sometimes can be out of fear of, losing your job or just your staff and people, your colleagues not happy with you and not getting on with you. Also, when you're in a job that you absolutely love, sometimes you can feel like, you're in the job of your dreams. Don't take things for granted. Don't be a dick, and don't be ungrateful, kind of things. They're a little bit scared to maybe speak up. That shouldn't be the case at all. Like, if you're working 70 hours plus, if you're working 55 hours plus a week, that's not okay. That's not okay. If you have time to see your kids, your family, spend time on your own, chill out, that's not cool. But anyway, I just thought that was an interesting article, and I'm kind of looking for video ideas at the moment, so I thought that would be quite a cool one to talk about. I was going to do a playthrough of that in the next week, but obviously it's not coming out for the next 2 months now. But we will be doing a playthrough of that when it does come out. So stay tuned for that one on the channel. But anyway then guys, this is where we're going to end this video. If you did enjoy it, then please smash the like button, comment what it is down below, subscribe, share the video around. I would love to be in a little community. And other than that, I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.